When we look at the sun, we see a violent, roaring engine of power. We assume it's the strong force, the one that binds nuclei together, doing all the heavy lifting. And while that force provides the grip, it isn't what makes the sun a stable source of life. If the strong force were the only thing in charge, the sun would have burned through its fuel in a cosmic blink. It would have been a flash, not a star. The reason we have billions of years of steady light is because of the weak force. The weak force doesn't power the sun, it limits it. It's 1,000,000 times weaker than the strong force. It only works over distances smaller than a proton. But it's the only force capable of changing the flavor of a particle. It allows a proton to become a neutron, enabling fusion to happen at a slow, life-sustaining crawl. In your product, you are likely over-relying on gravity, those big, heavy rewards, to pull users in. But today, we are going subatomic. We are going to look at why the smallest, weakest interactions are actually the secret of a system that burns steady for years. I'm Hakan Uzer, co-founder of Motivate. Let's get into particles. To understand why your users drop off, you have to understand beta decay. In physics, particles have flavors: up, down, strange, charm. Most forces just push these particles around. But when a particle interacts with a weak force carried by W or Z bosons, it doesn't just move, it transforms. A down quark becomes an up. This is how an unstable atom finds its balance. It's a tiny internal adjustment that changes the identity of the atom itself. This is called beta decay. Now, look at your users. They usually enter your system in an unstable state. They are curious but uncommitted. They are what I call proton users. Charged, heavy, and just sitting there. Most designers try to push them with gravity. Log in for 30 days and get a reward. But gravity is an external force. It doesn't change the user, it just pulls on them. The moment you stop pulling, they drift away. A weak force mechanic, however, focuses on the flavor change. It's the three-word notification or the microcopy that shifts a user's identity. You aren't just a user anymore, you've become a contributor. That isn't a push, it's a transformation. So how do we build this into digital interface? We have to respect the weak force's two primary rules: short range and flavor change. In physics, the weak force has a range so small it's almost zero. In your UX, that translates to timing. If a user completes a difficult task and your success message shows up 5 seconds later, the weak force has already dissipated. The boson has decayed. To change a user's flavor, the feedback must be instantaneous. The satisfying thunk of a file being saved, the micro-animation of a progress bar filling. These are short-range interactions that link the action to the identity of being done. Look at your buttons. If a button says submit, it's a neutral particle. It has no flavor. It's just work. But what if that button says share your expertise or join the conversation? You've just initiated a flavor change. You've moved the user from data entry clerk to expert. This is exactly what the weak force does in a star. It changes the nature of the particle so that a more powerful reaction can occur. When you change the flavor of the task, you remove the systemic friction. The user isn't fighting the system anymore because they are the system. I want you to perform a particle audit on your product this week. Identify the neutrons. Where are your users performing actions that feel flavorless? Filling out a profile, uploading a document. These are your points of instability. Find a way to turn those protons into neutrons by adding an identity-based microinteraction. Audit your feedback loops with a stopwatch. If there is a delay between the user's effort and the system's recognition, your weak force is failing. Shorten the range. Make the feedback tactile, instant, and context-specific. In physics, the half-life tells us how long it takes for a substance to decay. Look at your notifications and nudges. Are they firing so often that they have become radioactive? If a user gets 10 weak force nudges in an hour, they don't feel transformed, they feel irradiated. They'll shut down. You want a steady, predictable interaction, not a meltdown. You don't need a bigger hammer to build a better system. You need to understand the particles. Stop trying to move your users with the gravity of heavy incentives. Start transforming them with the weak force of micro-interactions. Because the smallest changes in identity lead to the most stable long-term results. Next time, we are going to look at the opposite scale. In episode 36, Gravity Assist, we'll discuss how to use momentum of external systems to slingshot your users toward their goals without spending a single drop of your own fuel. I'm Hakan Uzer, and this has been Physics of Gamification. Until next time, keep the reaction stable.